You said you were ready.
Well, whatever. I'm gonna look. I can tell by the screen when people get here.
Yeah.
It's so weird, like I'm not used to like using my computer.
Yeah.
Except when we do it like this, or like Dawn is here.
Oh yeah.
It's like, no, I can look here and it's not backwards and like whatever. Hi everyone.
All different.
Yeah, people are getting here. It is Thursday. I tell you, I want to know if you felt the same way yesterday. I kept thinking that it was a weekend. And I'm like, oh.
I just said that to Joe last night.
I like got drinks. I don't have to worry about anything. It's the weekend.
Totally.
I was like, no, tomorrow is Thursday.
Yeah.
No one's Saturday. I have to work. I have stuff to do. Like,
Completely. I just said that to him last night. We were sitting there, and even though my mind, I kept saying it's only Wednesday. I could not get the feeling out of my mind that it was Sunday. And we were watching Westworld, replay. So it felt like Sunday because just everything,
Yeah, my days are so messy. It's just like, I think it's kind of the problem from working from home, and like you in the same boat. It's like you do your own thing. You're your own boss and whatever. And it's like, there's no such thing as a work day.
There isn't. Day, night, weekends, holidays. Jamie, I get you. I get you.
So hi everyone who's here. We are here for our monthly breastfeeding and pumping Q&A, sponsored by Evenflo, and we have a couple things to show you. Most of you know who I am because you're on my page. So I will let Shari give a little intro about herself, and then we have a lot of questions. I have them here on my phone, and I have so many breast pump accessories on my table right now. People would have questions about me if they walked in my apartment right now.
You know what day it is when all the breastfeeding stuff is out, right?
When I have to get it off the shelf and just get everything right and ready. So
totally. So it's been a few months, Jamie, since I've been here on your page. Like really, like several months, probably since beginning of the year.
No.
Yeah, it was like February or something.
No. Well, the only one we missed was last month.
Yeah, but before that, we were on the Evenflo page.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're talking
about. Sorry. So, yeah, it's been a few months. And so there may be new people. You may not have met me before, but I want to just introduce myself. My name is Shari Criso, and I'm a registered nurse. I'm a certified nurse midwife and an international board certified lactation consultant. And I've been working with Jamie for about a decade, doing this in all different capacities and doing other things too, but doing this. And also with Evenflo Feeding, who makes just the best products for breastfeeding moms, and started working with them several years ago, almost 7 now, when we designed the advanced double electric, and they had me come in and help them as someone who's been working with moms and babies for over 27 years. Doing everything, delivering babies, working with breastfeeding mamas. And so the pump is just something that we designed together so that it could be the best and have all the features that I look for when I'm talking to my clients, to my followers, to my moms, to my friends, to my family. That's the one that I recommend. And so I love talking about this and answering breastfeeding and pumping questions, which is what I do all day.
Accurate. That pretty much sums it up.
Pretty much sums it all up.
And like I said, I have a ton of stuff. I have it out of the box, but I have the pump right here. This is the new improvement that we'll discuss. I've got all the things. I've got more flange inserts, quite frankly. I even found a wool ball from my dryer under the table as I was getting ready, and I just haven't done anything with it yet. We have bags, we've got adapters, we've got everything, we've got bottles, we've got it all. But specifically for this Q&A today, because every now and then we kind of like theme them out and we'll like go on a topic and then answer questions and all of that. So today we are going to talk about flange fit. And for those of you who don't know, and I hope most of you do, the flange is the cone right here that goes on your breast. And that's what goes on. That's where your milk is going to shoot on out into and collect in the bottle. So,
that's something new that we're going to start doing. We've been doing this with Evenflo, these Q&As for several years now. We're on our 4th year, actually, believe it or not, 4th year. But we're going to start just bringing you some topics that are most asked questions that you really need to know about. And it doesn't get old because there's always someone new who's pumping. Every month there's new mamas who are pumping. And so if you have any ideas and thoughts for us of where you'd like to topics that you'd like to hear about, you can go ahead and post some of them too. Would that be good, Jamie? So we can figure out, and then we'll go through them, and over the next few months, we will try to cover.
We'll make a spreadsheet of topics.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how to use Excel, but I do like looking at a spreadsheet.
Okay, good. Well, I'll set up something.
I don't know why I cannot figure out an actual spreadsheet.
Really?
Okay.
All right. I'm teaching you. It's too easy to not be able to figure it out. I'm going to teach you. And maybe we'll figure out something where we can have people submit their topics. We're going to try to stick to pumping topics for these Q&As. So if you have good pumping topics you want to hear about, go ahead and let us know. And we'll get it into one of the months where we do this. But today, like Jamie said, is flange fit. And we're going to just spend a few minutes talking about flange fit. And I actually have a video that I'd like to show you all that I did. It's a little bit old, but it actually goes through how to look at your flange and why flange fit is important. And it has some good video demonstration of use on a real mom, which is really good to be able to see how that flange is working on your breast. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say, let me just say hi to everyone in Evenflo. I see them here in the chat. Hi. And Rebecca's here too. Hi, Rebecca.
And
all right.
Of course, we need lots of hearts, and make sure you're sharing this with your friends. If you have friends who are expecting or friends who are nursing or pumping, make sure you tag them, because it's just about getting information out there. And then we're also giving one of these away. So
absolutely. And should we tell them how to enter for the giveaway real quick, so they could start doing that?
Yeah.
In the post here, there is a link. So don't leave yet, but in the post, you can go to the link and you can click through to enter to win the new Evenflo Advanced Double Electric. Okay, and
I'll also repost the link.
Here, this is the link actually. Here we go. Evenflo giveaway 7518. Okay, that's the one that's in the post that you can all go to and sign up. You could do it later too. It's going to be there. All right. Yay. Okay, good. So let me go ahead and play this video. Oops, hold on. How do I shut this off? Too many things at one time. All right. Oh, no sound?
There's no sound.
Okay. Okay. So here's what's going on. I have my headset on. I have my headset on, so you can't hear the sound. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, so I'd have to unplug. Let me see if I unplug if it causes a problem. Hold on a second. We're going to try it, all right?
Oh, cross your fingers. Oh,
cross
no.
Your finger. You know what happens here. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, let's try this again. Sorry, everyone. Here we go.
One of the most important features when it comes to utilizing and making your breast pump work for you is making sure that the flange, or the part that goes against your breast, fits you properly. And having a perfect flange fit is going to be one of the most important things in being able to express your milk, having it have as little pain as possible while pumping, being really efficient with it, and then overall maintaining a good milk supply for your baby. So this is very important, as you can tell. Let's take a look at a flange here, and what this is. This is the part that actually goes up against your breast. Obviously, the nipple goes into this little flange tunnel here, or the hole, and milk will flow down into the bottle. Now, this part here is not how you size the flange, but it's actually the diameter of this little hole here, and they are numbered. And that's where you're going to be putting your nipple into that little tunnel. And as the nipple goes in, it will have a certain sizing or fit. And this is what's important to make sure is properly done. A lot of breast pumps on the market will come with one size included in the package, and then we'll have additional sizes that you can purchase separately. Go to the store and purchase a different size. The problem with this is that you really can't tell what size you need until you actually try them out. So that can be a little bit confusing for a lot of moms, or a lot confusing. First of all, if they even understand that they do come in different sizes, but then which one do I even pick? I have to try it in order to actually size it properly. It's not like a bra where you can measure yourself. I have clients who say, what size am I? And I'm like, can't do it that way. It's not like a bra. They really have to be tried out in order for them to be perfect for you. The other thing about that too is that you may use one size at the beginning of your nursing experience, and then several months later need a completely different size in order to keep maintaining your milk supply and milk expression. So this is all very, very important. And then worst possible scenario is that you have pumps out there that only come with one size, and there's no additional sizes that you can even purchase. So you can imagine, if that's not the right size for you, that pump is going to be basically worthless to you. What I really recommend, and this is the Evenflo Feeding Advanced Double, which is the pump that I helped to design and obviously endorse very highly. The pump comes with 3 different flange sizes included in the box, even in our most basic version. And the reason for that is because this is a functionality issue, and it really needs to be right there for mom in order for the pump to work. Okay, so these little silicone inserts go in, and what you have are different sizes already included with the pump. How do you know you're getting the right size? Let's talk about that for a moment. When you put this up to your breast and your nipple's going into the hole, if you see your nipple, or you feel your nipple rubbing against the sides of the flange, that means that the flange probably is too small for you. And that's important to, that's going to cause pain, and it's not going to help to express your milk very well. On the other hand, if you put your nipple into the hole and it's pulling a lot of the nipple plus some of the areola into the flange tunnel, so a lot of the breast tissue is being sucked in, it's quite possible that the flange is too large for you. And again, it's going to cause pain, and it can, again, not help you to express your milk properly. This needs to be fit just right. So a perfect flange fit is when you put your nipple into the hole, it's drawing in just enough of the nipple without rubbing on the sides. And this is going to help to simulate as close as possible to your baby and the latch, and to allow the breast to express milk, which will then help to drain the breast properly, and then therefore help to maintain your milk supply as best as possible when you're away from your baby. As you can see, very, very important feature of a breast pump. and to try them out and see which one works best for you.
All right, we got that going.
Huzzah!
Hopefully I won't echo now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, flange fit is, and like I showed you in the video, and it may be harder to see. I'm going to put up a little graphic here that will help to identify what that means. When I was talking about that, you know, the nipple is rubbing against the side, quite often moms don't realize that it shouldn't have any pain. And so when you're having any nipple rubbing, and first of all, let's talk about the difference between your nipple and your areola.
Okay.
Because that's something that you would think, you know, is a well-known, understood thing, and it's really not for a lot of moms. The difference between when we're talking about the areola, we're talking about the colored part that's around the nipple on your breast. Okay, so it's the larger part of the nipple that is on the breast that is colored. The nipple is just the tip of the nipple, all right, just the tip. So really, when we say that the flange is drawing the nipple and the areola in, and you're seeing rubbing on the areola, the flange is too large. If you're feeling rubbing on the tip of the nipple, okay, then the flange is too small, and you can see why understanding the difference in your anatomy is really important in sizing your flange. I think I said it in the video, but you can have a different size on each side.
Yeah.
And it will change over time. So maybe when you're, you know, first had your baby and your breast may be a little bit engorged or full, you may need one size. If you notice that as you keep going, more of the breast is actually being sucked into the hole and it's rubbing. Now the areola is rubbing. It may be that it's too big at that point and you need to go downsize a little bit. I think that the biggest issue I see is that most of the pumps out there don't come with the different sizes. And I just was reading some of the comments here, and they're even saying, like, I didn't even know they come in different sizes.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you know, if you've never pumped before, it's not like, you know, this is well known necessarily. And I think that you not having it included is a really big problem. Like I said, you can't size them. You need to try them. So what are you going to do? Buy the different sizes just to try?
And there are pumps on the market that don't even offer different size flanges.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
one size fits all. And we've talked about this several times, but a pump that shall not be named that only makes one flange size. My sister was using it, and she was screaming using that thing. And so I took a video and sent it to you. Yeah. And it was like something like that could actually do damage.
Oh, it definitely does. It definitely does. First, you know, and we see damage from flanges that are too big too. So really keep an eye on that. You know, when you're drawing too much of the nipple and areola into the flange tunnel, you can have a lot of swelling of the tissue there. So you can get and I'm sure some of the moms here have, if they've done that before, that you know what I'm talking about. You use a flange, it's not perfectly fit, it's hurting, and then all of a sudden the whole areola becomes swollen. You won't get the milk out. So you're going to have pain and you're going to have a decrease in milk output. So it's one of those things, if you're having trouble pumping with your pump and you're like, I'm not getting milk out, although I know I have milk in there, I can feel it in my breast. When the baby eats, the baby can get the milk out. What's the problem? One of the first things to look at is, do you have the right flange sizing? In addition to sizing, I want to comment about the Evenflo types of flanges, because these are unique in that they are soft silicone inserts. And what that feels like for comfort when you put something like this in, that's very soft. It's kind of hard to tell just from a picture, but it's got an air, it almost creates like an air cushion. And this is very soft. It's almost velvety. We describe it as velvety because the inner part where the nipple's going, it's textured. It's textured. So the textured part makes it very slippery so that you're not getting that friction against the nipple. It allows it to slide. While the outer part is silicone that kind of grabs a little bit, that creates a better seal. And so it holds the breast in place, so not more of the tissue is getting drawn in. It's just the nipple that's getting drawn in. And this works really well for moms who have more elastic breasts. So sometimes second, third baby, or even as you're nursing, you know, longer term into your beyond 6 months and beyond, sometimes the breast can get almost stretchy and too much is getting pulled in, even if the flange fits you perfectly. And for moms who have that particular issue, I found this to work really, really well, because that sticky, outer rim holds the breast tissue in place while just pulling the nipple.
Cool. Also, we don't touch on this every time we do it, but it's one feature of the flange that I really do like, is the fact that it's angled, because several reasons. One, you don't have to like slouch while you pump, and you're going to be able to sit up and it's less strain on your back, but it also prevents the milk from like backing up in. If it was a straight neck, like no angle, the milk, you would have to lean over also to keep the milk from backing down, from backing up into your breast. But with this, it's just able to kind of right on down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That leaning over, just that slight leaning over that, you have to do to not have that backflow really kills your back and neck. And depending on how much you pump, I mean, that could be like every couple hours, several times a day. For exclusive pumpers, it could be all day long. So yeah, that little angle makes a huge difference. They call them slouch-free flanges. That's a mouthful. Oh yeah. Somebody's asking about settings, getting the right settings on the pump. Yeah, there's different things that you need to do to make sure that you're maximizing your output. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But there's that link that we gave you in order to register to win the pump today. We'll also give you a place where you can watch these videos. So the one I just showed you, the one on my 3-stage pumping method, which helps you use your controls better and get more milk output with your breast pump, and also the breast pump checklist that'll go through the different features that I always look for in a breast pump. And for those of you who know and who follow me and Jamie doing this all the time, you know what I'm talking about. For anybody who's new, please go check those out before you make decisions on what type of pump. Regardless of what pump you get, make sure it has the features that we're talking about.
Yeah. And I know you have the pump there as well, but I have mine all put together.
You want to make the announcement?
Go for it. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So Evenflo, I mean, we've been working with them. I've been doing this. I can't believe this is the 4th year. Yes. That's nuts to me, and I'm grateful, and I love all of them. Hooray. But they are always listening to like consumer feedback about their products and all of that. And one thing that they received feedback on was the noise, the volume of the actual pump. And so after a little bit of tinkering and working very hard, like good little soldiers, this is the new Hush version of the pump. And it is a lot quieter. I will turn it on for you right now because I do have it all wired up. And I've been playing with it because I get very obsessed with watching the, you can see it there, the actual membranes. But I will turn it up as high as possible right now.
It's got like a nice low sound.
Yeah, the frequency, it's like brown noise.
Yeah, like the squeaking that you hear on some pumps, this doesn't have that. And it is really quiet. I mean, you're putting it right up to the speaker, but it is way quieter. And what I love about Evenflo and their products is they really do listen to what moms need, whether it's, less sound, whether it's, more convenience in being able to pump into bags, or just everything that they make is really so innovative.
Yeah. So while we have this here, because I have this membrane just living my best life, that barrier, let's discuss open versus closed system.
Yeah.
Since I have it right here.
Yeah, which you have right there. Yeah. So exactly what you were referring to, Jamie, is that that diaphragm going up and down right there. What is that diaphragm? Okay, that's that little piece that you see moving as he has it on. And the diaphragm is a barrier, okay? What it does is a little silicone barrier that slips right into there at the top of the flange, and it creates a complete seal so that as milk is flowing down from pumping down here into the bottle, milk should never be getting into your tubing. And this little barrier diaphragm is what prevents milk from splashing backwards and getting into your tubing where it contaminates the tube, and it can cause mold and viruses and bacteria to grow. And so one of the first things on the list, on the checklist of what do you look for in a breast pump, is that you're looking for a closed system. Okay, that's what makes this a closed system versus an open system. An open system would have no barrier. And so there are pumps on the market that sort of plug right in like that, and milk can actually splash, and it does splash, into the tubing. It can backflow all the way back into the motor itself. It's very difficult to clean. Once it gets into the motor, you can't clean it. And so one of my most important features on a breast pump is making sure that you're first choosing a closed system, and a true closed system. And what I mean by that, I think there's so many different things that you have to talk about with closed systems. But one is that it's a true closed system is a pump that's closed at the point of where the milk enters the flange and the bottle. If there are pumps out there that talk about closed, but what they're talking about is that there's a barrier here to prevent milk from ever getting it. Once it does get into your tube, which it will, because there's no barrier at the flange, it will backflow, and they're preventing it from getting into your motor, which makes them reusable, or you can pass them down, or the rental pumps are like that. But what you're really looking for is closed, true closed, here at the point of the pump flange. And if you ever see condensation or moisture in the tubing or in the mechanism, whatever pump you have that has moisture, even inside a closed system, it is not closed. And so you want to be really careful with that.
Also, this is, I'll unplug it so I can get it better on the screen. You will notice I was holding the pump like this. And another really great feature of this pump is the actual kind of holsters for the bottles in the back. So at night, if you're pumping or whatever, you don't have to worry about spilling your bottles all over the place and losing that milk. You can actually smack them right in the back of the motor, and they're held completely in place.
No, they're great. It's a really good feature that we don't have on our list of functionality issues, but it really is. If you spill the milk, you lost it, right? So, and it's a nice small footprint. So if you're working,
the pump is very, very small. It's not a big thing. You can throw it in a bag. The deluxe version of it comes with a bag, or you can just get your own little bag and live your best life. Yep. Get something fashionable, very trendy. But it's a really nice small footprint, and it takes batteries.
Definitely one of the most important features. You want to use your pump wherever you are. You never want to have to put off a pumping session or delay your session or miss one because you're not near an outlet. And so battery option, AA's, right into the pump, could not be easier, and it works well with the batteries. Just use real good quality batteries. And
I kind of did this just without even thinking of it, as I was playing with all the settings, watching the diaphragms, because it's it hypnotizes me. Independent speed and suction.
Yeah, we might as well cover the last one.
That's it, because I've already done
one of the most important. You've gone through all the features. Let's cover it. Yeah. Let's cover it. I mean, that's really, I think that probably answers 4 or 5 of the questions that we got submitted today, because in the end, it's all about how do you use your pump, and do you know how to use it? And, for us, for Jamie, for people, everyone who works at Evenflo, we're talking breast pumps as a lifestyle. I mean, we're always in the conversation. But for any of you who are just starting out, or you may be expecting right now, you're just starting to use your breast pump, it's not as it's not as easy as it looks. It can be easy, but it's not. So what's the word, Jamie?
It's not like you're hardwired with this information.
No, you're not. No, here's the thing. Your baby is, but you aren't. Yeah. And so when we look at how to use a breast pump, what we're really doing, and when I talk about my 3-stage pumping method of using those controls, we're using what the baby innately knows how to do, which is how to stimulate multiple letdowns that you just don't know how to do, because if you're just breastfeeding the the baby already knows. So what we've done is we have a pump that has independent speed and suction controls so that you can simulate what your baby does at the breast to slow down the sucking, to speed up the sucking in the right way, to stimulate those multiple letdowns of milk so that you can get, yes, intuitive. Thank you, Elise. That was the word I was looking for. It's not so intuitive, yes. So that you can get those multiple letdowns. And with independent speed and suction separately. Jamie, show the front where you can see the two controls. The top control speed.
Up here, suction is down here.
Yeah, so there's 8 suction levels, 4 speed levels, and in between, when you use that, you have 32 different settings combined, okay? But what you're doing is you're trying to stimulate that first letdown, and then the way you stimulate a second letdown, meaning the milk slows down and you could stimulate the milk to start flowing again, you are using your controls in a way that's different. So I don't want to go through exactly how to do it here, but know that that's a feature that you need to do. If you go to the link that's here to sign up to win the pump, the video's there. If you go to I actually posted it this morning. Go to my Facebook page, and I think it's the last post I posted, is the 3-stage pumping method. And then you can watch it.
Awesome.
Has anybody used that method and had good success? Because I get moms sending me pictures with their milk storage containers that they just pumped double milk because they used the method. And it's not that you made more, it's that you got it out. You already make that. You already do great.
I just want to take a moment to brag, because my best friend on this entire earth is a dad now. They just had a little baby, Dean, and his wife, Amy, when I was in upstate New York. So I was able to go hang out at the hospital for a couple days, and I was helping get the baby all latched on, and Amy was nailing it and all of this. And the but the doctor would come to me you were timing out your sessions and all this, and how long did the baby nurse, and how long this and how long that. And as soon as the doctor would leave, Amy looked at me and she's like, I know I don't need to worry about time. I watched Shari's classes that came with the pump, and I feel like I've got this all under control. Yeah. And I was just like,
yeah,
got it.
That's awesome.
So they do her breastfeeding and pumping classes come with the pump.
Yeah.
So it's not just a very good product. You get education with it, which is pretty important.
And those are full-length classes on getting you help, starting you off on the right foot for breastfeeding, as well as how to go back to work and use your breast pump. And they're full-length classes. And I know many people here watching, I see them, you're my students and you've watched it. And I do get that feedback, and it helps you to feel that confidence. And I think that's one of the most important things, Jamie, when moms are just starting out with breastfeeding, or even in the middle of breastfeeding. They could be halfway through the year and they start to watch the classes and they attend our live Q&As like this, or, they join my group and they're asking questions, and the confidence to know that you can do this. And sometimes it's not easy. I want to say that this is not breastfeeding is not always an easy thing. It's simple, but it's not easy. And so having that right information, like Amy did, right? Yeah. Where, she's getting 15 different answers from every doctor and nurse who walks in, from, every person that she encounters. And then she goes right back to that video and to my class, and it's explained to her in a way that's logical and makes sense. People don't follow what I say because I said it. They follow it because it makes sense and it works. So encourage you guys to watch it.
Yeah. So somebody because I've gone through the big list of questions people have left, which is great. And one that sticks out to me, because we were talking about the battery feature, and, a lot of women will pump, while they're driving, or they run out to their car and they pump on a break or whatever. Yeah. And one of the women had a question about how to properly sanitize all of your parts if you're pumping in your car, and how to kind of deal with that. And I think there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to really cleaning breast pump parts if you're pumping in a car, pumping at work, and how to keep them clean, and when you actually do need to really thoroughly clean everything. So
yeah. Well, let's start with, how much do you need to actually clean the parts, and how do you clean them when they're breast milk in them versus, say, you're feeding the baby formula and you have a formula bottle, right? So formula grows bacteria way different than breast milk. It's very hard to grow the bacteria in breast milk because it's alive and it has living antibodies in it, and it cleans itself as it's sitting there. And actually there's research that's done that when they put breast milk into a refrigerator over several days, the milk got cleaner as the milk sat there. There was less bacterial count 5 days after refrigeration than there was immediately, because there's always bacteria on the skin. So that being said, we know that breast milk just does not grow bacteria the same way. I recommend that you sterilize your parts and your pieces and your bottles and everything when you first take it out of the package. And that's more because of wherever it was in the manufacturing process. We want to start with it clean. But after that, we're not sterilizing the parts anymore. That will cause warping of your parts. It will cause this degradation of the plastic. We don't want any plastic to, start to break down into the milk, and that happens with continuous sterilization if they're not glass, when they're plastic. So we don't want to do that. And warping is not a good thing either. You also see that sometimes they get too cloudy from over sterilization. So what I would say is that you sterilize it one time, and then after that, it's hot soapy water and then into a dishwasher. But how often? To speak to Jamie's question, if you're out, if you're at work, if you're in the car, do you need to do that every single time? And the answer is no, you don't. This can be made very simple. Your breast milk is good for 24 hours in your cooler. So if you have a cooler with ice packs and that's what you're using for work, and you're bringing that cooler and you're storing your milk and transporting it home in the cooler, one tip and trick that we use is take your pump parts after you're done pumping. So you finish a pumping session, you're taking the bottle off, right? You're putting a lid on it. This is where the milk is. You're putting that into the cooler. Disconnect your tubing and take every piece that touched the milk, and that would be your flange, it would be your membranes, keep everything together, your diaphragm, okay? And put those all inside a little baggie and stick that inside the cooler. Now the milk that is, on the parts that you just pumped with is staying cool. So there's no reason to actually go rinse it or refrigerate it or sterilize it at all. You don't need the microwave storage bags or sterilizing bags or anything like that. Just put these into a little baggie, stick it inside the cooler. The next time you go to pump, use it again. The last time that you go to use it, you'll have filled the cooler, hopefully, with your milk. But at that point, you can go ahead and either rinse the parts or just keep them back in the baggie. Put it into the bag, maybe not the cooler bag, but when you get home, rinse your parts and put them through the dishwasher one time in the evening. Get ready.
I think that's what because we don't really have good maternity leave here in America, women have to go back to work way too soon. And I think a lot of women, knowing that they're going to have to pump at work, it gets very overwhelming with how am I going to juggle working and pumping and then cleaning all the pump parts? But knowing that you don't have to go wash all of your pump parts after you pump every time at work is a huge, it's enough of a process pumping. You don't have to worry about cleaning as well. Totally.
You don't need a refrigerator, and you don't need to be near a sink necessarily, except to go wash your hands. So you want to, wash your hands thoroughly, get clean, and then use your pump. But I think that Kayla just said, just shocking at next use, LOL. Yeah, they may be a little cold. In this weather, I could go for a little cold right now, but yeah, it might be a little cold. You might want to take them out a few minutes early just to get some of the chill out of them. That's good point, Kayla. Good point. Funny.
So we have several questions on here, so I'm going to go through a couple of these. Carol Lou Tingson has a question. Hi, Shari.
Hi.
My 1-year-old boy is still breastfeeding, and I just got pregnant. Yay. Is it still okay to nurse him, or do you have suggestions on how to wean him off? I am somehow uncomfortable with his sucking.
Okay. Yeah, so to answer the first question, is it safe Is that what she's asking? Is it okay to continue nursing him? Yeah, for most moms, it's totally fine to continue breastfeeding even while you're pregnant. There's, the idea that it's going to somehow stimulate preterm labor is usually not the case for the vast majority of women. You'll hear this, though, from the obstetricians talking about, oh, you have to stop because it's going to cause you to miscarry. It's going to cause you to deliver early. The thought process behind why they say that is because nipple stimulation later, much later in pregnancy can cause oxytocin release and cause uterine contractions. That's how your body contracts in labor, is the oxytocin's release. It's also the same mechanism of having how your breast contracts, the ducts in your breast contract to create a milk letdown. So the same hormone functions for both. The difference is that when you are early in pregnancy and all the way up until about, I think, around 34 weeks, the receptors in the uterus for oxytocin are not there yet. So your body's not responding to oxytocin in that capacity. It may cause you to have some Braxton Hicks, nothing that would cause preterm delivery. This obviously is for normal pregnancies, for nobody who's had multiple recurrent miscarriages, bleeding during that pregnancy, history of severe preterm labor or delivery. Like in those cases where we're talking about someone with a substantial medical background history, I would consult with your physician and make the best choice for that pregnancy. But for most moms, you'll be totally fine nursing through the pregnancy. That being said, her question is referring to, what about the pain? It hurts, my nipples are really sore. I was fine for a year. By the time you hit a year breastfeeding your baby, you're really fine. You're not feeling the latch or having any discomfort. But once you get pregnant again, the nipple soreness is there from the progesterone levels and everything else that's going on. So what do? I think that, that's really a personal decision. It depends on how uncomfortable you are. Typically, by the time you hit your second trimester, that has subsided quite a bit. So finding a way to get through those first couple weeks of the pregnancy may be a little bit difficult. I would say that, making sure that you are nursing, the baby's a year old. Make sure that you're nursing in good positioning. Make sure that you're not, by the time the baby gets to about a year, you get a little lazy with your latch, and that's fine. Like, you don't need to be on top of it because the baby's kind of hanging off. You're doing other things, whatever. But you may want to get a little bit more focused like you were in the beginning of getting that proper latch, holding the baby closer to your body. So that they can't close their mouth too much towards the tip of the nipple. Holding the baby closer will keep their mouth and their latch nice and wide and open. So doing that, and also just watching for any kind of clamping down. Okay, as a child gets a little older, sometimes they start to bite or clamp down, removing them as soon as the feeding is over. So you may be able to handle the feeding, but not the continuous sucking that is that non-nutritive, comfort sucking.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. Brandy Danielle Crocker. I'm going to insert for a moment. I feel like she's a long-time viewer, first-time caller. This is like a radio situation. Yeah. Hi again, Shari. I'm currently EVF for my third time. With my first child, we went 3.5 years, 2 years with my second, and my third is 9 months old, and we're still pushing through. About 3 months ago, I stopped feeling my letdown completely. I always felt it before, even through a total of 6 years of extended breastfeeding. So it really threw me. Is this an indication of anything? Should I be concerned?
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say no. Things change throughout the course of breastfeeding. Just like you really can't compare one pregnancy to the other. You can't compare one breastfeeding experience to the other. You can pull from your experience, but you can't compare it to know whether it's normal or not. Babies are different, and so will the milk, and so will everything about it. So I would say that, and if you started off feeling the letdown and now you're not feeling let down, but you can see it happening, I'd say this is one question that moms have a lot of worry and stress about, that there's nothing to worry and stress over. Not everyone feels let down. So some of you
I feel let down every single day.
with the exception of Jamie. Not everybody feels it, you know, or you might feel it differently. Some people feel it like a tingling sensation. Their breasts feel tingly as the milk starts to come out. Or right before the milk comes out. Some people feel like a fullness or a pressure sensation as the milk starts to express. And other people like myself, I used to feel nauseous. Like all of a sudden I'd get like dizzy and nauseous for just a minute, and then it would go away and my milk would let down. But I would say that towards the end of my breastfeeding journey, with each of the kids, I didn't feel anything. And so it just changes, just like leaking can change too. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, where you're leaking a lot in the beginning, and then towards, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, you're not leaking anymore. And the concern becomes, am I making any milk? I'm not leaking anymore. I don't feel as full. My breasts feel empty. My bras don't fit anymore. That's all normal. It's all normal. The breast will shrink down. You're not going to feel the same way. And yet you still make enough milk. And so the best way always, like rule of thumb, is to just look at the baby. To look, is the baby peeing? Is the baby pooping? Is the baby growing, gaining weight, hitting milestones, and happy and satisfied after a feeding? There's really no other way to determine whether your baby's getting enough. It has nothing to do with pumping it out or sensations that you're having in the breast. These could be indicators, but then it's the indicator to look at what's real. And what's real is hydrated babies with pee and lots of pee. Happy, satisfied babies that are not crying after every single feeding for more food, or and seeming satisfied and gaining weight. And it doesn't have to be a lot of weight gain. It can be slow weight gain, but it's going in the right direction, and that they're hitting their milestones and they're doing well. It makes me so sad when I hear from new moms or even experienced moms who gone to the pediatrician's office and are told the baby's not gaining fast enough, and you need to supplement right now. And the truth is that the baby's just growing at a slower rate. Babies grow in spurts, so that you'll have growth spurts, in which some weeks they gain more and some weeks they gain less. But to put some number on a breastfed child and say they have to gain at this particular rate or start supplementation is just wrong advice. And those are the same babies that they'll send me pictures of, and they've got rolls, roll after roll in their thighs and their arms. And I'm like, okay, can you see all that fat on a baby? A baby with, let's just say that right there, okay? If your baby has rolls on its body, there is no weight gain issue, because that subcutaneous fat wouldn't be there if the baby was somehow not thriving.
Look for the baby bracelet.
That's right.
I love a good baby bracelet when they got that roll right there. Oh,
rolls, and then they'll send me pictures. Rolls in the neck, rolls in the thighs, rolls in the ankles. Every part of that baby has rolls, except the baby only gained a few less ounces than what was expected. And make sure they're checking growth charts that are the right growth charts. This is improved in the last 10 years. I remember years ago when I teach about this, that the pediatricians were not using the proper growth charts. They were using the CDC charts, and those were based on exclusively formula fed babies that grow much faster, gain much weight and more weight. It's not really what we want. We want to be comparing these babies against exclusively breastfed babies. And the World Health Organization does have growth charts that are based on exclusively breastfed babies around the world and what their growth patterns really are. And that's where we want to be looking. And we want to be actually holding all babies, even formula-fed babies, to those standards, so that we know that everybody's growing based on the biological norm, which is to exclusively breastfeed. We know not all babies can exclusively breastfeed, but we should still be looking at, are they growing too fast? Because we know that's a risk for obesity. And that could happen even with exclusive pumping and bottle feeding, even if it's breast milk. We see that there's a higher risk of obesity with bottle feeding in general. And that just has to do with sometimes not paying attention to the babies, not pacing the feedings, overfeeding a baby, thinking they need more when they actually don't. And if they were breastfeeding at the breast, they would stop sooner.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Amethyst has a question, and we could have discussed this earlier when we had like all the pumps, and I mean, we still do. Can you talk about when you should replace breast pump parts? I didn't know that was something I needed to do until I looked at my breast pump's website. And a lot of women do not understand the membranes needing to be replaced. So I feel we need to touch on that.
I have the membrane right here. It's the piece that goes right. See how it's connected to the flange right there. So that's what it looks like. It's a valve and a membrane. This little tiny piece. You would think, well, how important can it be? It's so small. This little tiny flap. Okay.
Very important.
It's probably one of the most important things to get your suction, because this is what's creating suction in one of the things that's creating suction in your pump. If this is not laying flat, if it's worn out, if it's warped in any way, it will allow air to escape back, from the bottle. And so you're sucking air from the bottle versus sucking air from the breast, or the suction going to the breast. And that's how you can have a decrease in suction, and then of course a decrease in output. So these little parts need to be replaced. They're like nipples on a bottle, they're replaceable parts. They're not meant to last forever, and they don't. One thing I would do is not shove like bottle brushes in here and scrub them too hard. You want to just wash these gently with soap and water, and then let them dry, and make sure.
And the pump comes with extras.
Yes, it does. And they're not expensive to replace either. It all depends on how frequently you're using your pump. If you're an occasional pumper, then I would say that as you start to see that the pump is not functioning the way it was, like maybe you're getting less suction, then it's an indication to change your parts. If you're pumping every day at work, or you're an exclusive pumper, you might even need to do it even sooner than that. But typically it's around every 2 months. I would replace the parts. And replacing the part means replacing that little membrane. You might need to replace this too. All the soft pieces may need to be replaced, but specifically that little membrane here may need to be replaced more frequently. Yeah, and that's one of the things that moms just don't know, that this is and what happens. So what happens when suction goes down? You would think that they think it's the pump, like something's wrong with the pump, but the truth is that moms blame themselves. And it's the first place they go to is, I'm not making enough milk. Something's wrong with me. These simple little things like a good flange fit, or knowing how to use your controls, or changing a little tiny membrane that costs almost nothing, okay, can make you start to doubt yourself and your ability, and really impact your confidence in being able to breastfeed your baby. And so make sure you become knowledgeable. That's why we're going over the pump information so much today, because it's not just about pumping, it's about breastfeeding altogether. And if you're feeling not confident because your pump's not working, you may wean sooner than you should, or that you want to. I'm sorry if my lighting is going in and out. I have no lights on. I'm sitting here with the skylight, and the sun keeps going in and out of the clouds. So I look.
It happens. Whatever. Yeah. So Zaynep, she's in your private group.
Yeah.
And she has a question. Could you please help this first-time mom-to-be where to buy milk storage bags, and what type brand storage bags, and also milk bottles for the first months? How many ounce bottles will I need? I will breastfeed, but have to start working when he's only 3 weeks old. So taking Shari Criso's advice, I'll start introducing him to express bottle feeding in the second week. Any tips?
Great. Okay. Couple of different questions there. Let's start with the second question first. And that is what size bottles, right? How many ounce bottles will I need? This speaks directly to how much does a breastfed baby eat. Yeah. And so, when you look at these storage containers, these are the ones that, come with the pump, and typical sizing, which is around 4 to 5 ounces. These are 5 ounce. Okay. I would say that if you're talking about feeding a baby breast milk, I would stick with 4 or 5 ounce bottles forever. So it's not just about what do I switch to? They never eat more than that the whole year. And this is, again, one of those things that when you're not able to pump 8, 9 ounces because you think that's what the baby needs to eat, you assume there's something wrong with you, and there isn't. A breastfed baby will start off with small amounts of breast milk. In my class, I go over this completely small amounts. I actually have, I have the, what do you call it? The graphic. Let's pull that up. Hold on. Okay, here's the graphic. All right, so this graphic right here shows you how much does a breastfed baby eat at a particular feeding, okay? And so the first day you can see it's about a teaspoon, if that, all right? 5 cc's, that's day one, that's colostrum. It's very small amounts, and that's per feeding. Once they hit about day 3, the milk is starting to transition. You're talking about a 1/2 ounce in the bottle, or I show it to you in a bottle, but you're not going to see this. When the baby's at the breast, they're drinking about 1/2 ounce per feeding. And that speaks right to what your friend Amy said, you know, the timing, trying to make it long feedings, which don't get more milk out. It doesn't get more milk out. It'll make you more sore. That's why I recommend short little feedings, but frequent, so that they're getting a little bit, and they sleep. They fall asleep. I know that was one of the other questions. They fall asleep because they don't really need that much in the first few days, just frequent. By around 1.5 to 2, by around 10 days, they're drinking somewhere around 1.5 to 2 ounces per feeding. Look at how little amount that is in that storage container. That's the one I was just holding up. So it's really not a lot. And then around 6 weeks, they kind of peak out somewhere around 4 ounces, sometimes 3, sometimes 5. It all depends on your baby and also the composition of your milk or what time of day it is. So as you can see, it's enough to completely do an entire feeding with that small bottle. And everybody always asks me 6 weeks weaning. That says 6 weeks to weaning, okay? Whenever that is, it could be a year, it could be 3 years. That's really all they're taking. So you're not ever using those big bottles. And if you are, you may end up with the situation that we're talking about earlier, which is an overfeeding situation. As far as the storage bags, right? That was the other part of the question. I love storage bags. I think they're great. These are the Evenflo storage bags here, and they all have these cute little sayings on them, which is so nice, especially when you're like, okay, can I keep doing this? Just great inspirational little messages. But they're great because they have these little gusseted bottoms where when you fill them up, they stand. So they're easy to collapse flat for storage in the freezer, but they can also stand for when you're pumping or using or opening them and defrosting them to pour into your bottles.
And Evenflo makes these bags. Look at a segue. I'm a big fan of a segue.
You're doing it.
So they have these adapters that you can actually unscrew the storage bottle and you screw into the neck, the bottom neck of the flange, and then you can hang your bag in here and pump directly into the bag. And then when you're done, you pop that off, you zip this shut, and you're good.
Look at my segue.
Look at that.
We are in sync.
We're good.
We are in sync. These are the best. I love these things. I mean, they work so great. It just makes it so easy to be able to pump right into them and not have to wash more parts.
Yeah, and they do really grip really well. A lot of people, because if you look on, they have like teeth, and then they have like divots for the grip. So your bag, you can put in there and like I can tug at it and whatever, and you're not. I think a lot of women get a little freaked out, like, but is my bag gonna slip out? You can tug like this, and it's gonna be fine. Your breast milk does not fall into the bag with the weight of a brick.
No.
So it's very light. You're not gonna like fill it to 15 pounds of milk and the bag's gonna fly out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's great. It's a great little tool, and they're really much easier to use than a lot of the adapters that are out there because they're so easy to grip on and then release.
Yeah.
And you want that ease, but yeah. All right. Any other questions, Jamie?
There's a lot. We'll do one more that's in here. Just because I feel it's appropriate, let's close out on this one. And no, it doesn't have to do with biting.
I was worried there.
So in the spirit of celebrating July 4th, I'm sure a lot of us were out and about having adult beverages.
Uh-huh.
So there is a question here, which I feel we do address every now and then.
Sure.
Bergen from your group. Hey there, sunshine smiley face.
Mhm.
So my little man is 3 months old now, and I'm breastfeeding full time. Jazz hands emoji. I've been lucky enough to have no difficulty doing so, but I do really miss an occasional glass of wine. Wine emoji, happy face, happy face. Any tips? Is it allowed and when? If not, then do I just pump? And when is the best time to pump?
Fantastic. It's such a good question. And lots of times moms feel uncomfortable asking the question. Actually, it came up in the private group, and we just had so much support, so many great answers. Everybody chimed in and gave advice. And one of the people who asked the question said it was so good to feel supported because she had asked it somewhere else and she got all kinds of negativity for how dare you try to drink a glass of wine while you're breastfeeding. Well, let me just say officially that the research is there to show that it is okay to drink small quantities of alcohol when you are breastfeeding. That we actually, it's not something that we say you can't do, you can do it. That doesn't mean you have to. It means that if you want to.
And no one
okay.
is saying, let's go be like our college alcoholism experience.
No, we're not talking about getting bombed and then feeding your baby, because let's say this. The alcohol does enter the milk. It does. It diffuses into the milk. As you drink it, it is going into the milk. But it doesn't ruin the milk. It's not like you need to pump it and dump it out. As fast as it goes in to your blood, it goes into the milk, and then just as fast it gets diffused back out of the milk. So given enough time of waiting from one feeding to the next, if you drank that glass of wine or a beer or whatever you're drinking right during the feeding or right after the feeding, you're giving yourself a long stretch to the next feeding. And by the time that feeding hits, most of that alcohol has diffused back out. Secondly, it's a small percentage of what's in your blood is actually going into the breast milk. So just like medications, where we're talking about 1% of the dose or 1% going into the milk, it's the same with alcohol. So again, very small quantities. And even if there was some alcohol when you were breastfeeding, because it's such small percentages, it's still okay. We have not seen any kind of negative impact on infants doing that. I would say this, the age of your baby is important. Okay. And so just like with medications, alcohol is the same. Depending on how old your baby is and whether they're a preemie, whether they have any health conditions, small amounts can have an impact on a preemie. Okay, because of the way that they filter through their livers, it's not the same. So I'm saying full term, healthy, well, baby, you can go ahead and drink a glass of wine as long as you're not feeling drunk, as long as you're okay to take care of your baby, you're usually fine to nurse your baby. Okay, so there is no waiting period, and I would not pump it and dump it. If you have a question about it and you think, well, maybe I didn't wait long enough, then wait another half an hour and then pump it. You know, maybe you're at a wedding or maybe you're at an event, you had a little too much. You can still wait a little and then pump it out. It will be okay. I would say that, do it as close to the feeding or during the feeding because it's the longest stretch. And remember that it is very different than pregnancy. Okay, what we saw in the research recently about breastfeeding and alcohol is, yes, you can do it. What we're seeing with the research now with pregnancy and alcohol is that any amount is not okay. It's not okay. I know for years they said, yeah, you could have a glass of wine. Even I, as a midwife, years ago, 20 years ago, we would recommend, if you're having some Braxton Hicks at the end, you could have a glass of wine, which alcohol does stop contractions. But what we're seeing now is that we really have to recommend no alcohol during pregnancy, that it does have an impact and we don't know the extent. It's a blood connection with a developing fetus when you are pregnant. There is no time waiting. It is going right to the baby, and we don't know what kind of impacts we're seeing with that. Yeah. I wanted to make that point because it's changed. And we always go with the latest. When there's new research, we need to change according to that. And so save it and then wait till after the baby's out and then go ahead and enjoy.
Then you have that glass of champagne.
That's right. That's right.
Which is what we did.
Definitely. I did.
We've gone over an hour. I thought,
Oh my God, I didn't even.
I mean, not that much. It's only a few minutes. But I
Yeah,
thought like this actually had a lot of very good information.
very good information.
Because we spent like a good half hour on
Totally.
topic focused and really getting into like nuts and bolts of product, and then went into Q&A.
Totally.
And I like that.
Hey, would you like me to set up a Google Doc so that people can submit their topics?
Yeah, or they could just leave it here. Whichever.
Leave it here on the thread. Just figured it might be easier. I don't know. You guys leave it here. Tell us what topics you want to hear more about. I'll set up something over on my page to kind of, take in some topics, and you guys have suggestions of topics that you want to hear from Jamie and I moving forward. Post them.
Yeah, because we do this every month. Every month we're here. Thank you, Evenflo.
Yeah.
And again, someone is winning this pump. Live your best life. Get a pump.
Here, post it here. Go to this link so that you can. It's in the post. It's in the main post. When we're done here, you can click right on it, go to it, and enter to win. That's how you'll get.
And go over. Just be nice and take like 2 minutes of your time. Go over to Evenflo's Facebook page and just hit like, be nice, and then thank them, because it's a lot of time and energy and all of this, like coordinating the Q&As and getting product out and all of this. And they have been a huge supporter of me on my platform, obviously of Shari. And they're also just very good friends, and they're good humans.
Definitely.
Go over, thank them for the 4 years of partnership for this, because that's bananas.
Yeah.
Cool. So
no, they make this possible. All this stuff, the classes that are free with the pump, the Q&As that we've done all these years, all the information, the live events that we've gone to and spoken at, that so many of you have been there with us, they make this possible. And so brands like this are the ones that you want to just say thank you to, support, and say, yeah, you've helped me through my journey. If it's been indirect, sometimes it can feel indirect because it's me that may have answered the question, or Jamie, or the two of us up here, but there's someone else that's making it possible to be here for you. So yeah. And Stephanie said they are the nicest people too. They are.
And coffee mugs.
And coffee mugs. I don't have mine. I needed to go get mine.
Every time we do a Q&A, it's how I announce it on Instagram. I have my coffee in my Evenflo mug.
Yeah, I love that mug.
Awesome.
I wanted to say one more thing, Jamie.
Yeah.
I want to post it up here. If the Evenflo pump is available through, obviously you can get it at Target, you can get it on Amazon, but you can also get it through your insurance for free. And so it's available through most medical distributors will carry this pump for free. And a lot of people still don't know that the pump is covered by insurance. So I just put up a link here. It's the evenflobreastpump.com, where you can go and look up your insurance provider and your state and find the DME, or the medical distributor, where you can get this pump for free.
And also, because I know every now and then there are policies that do not. That's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
One of the great things about this pump is the price point. It retails, like if you go to Target, you can get it around $80, $90, $100. Based on like if you get it with the bag and the cooler and all of that, or just like the basic form of the pump, you can get it for around or under $100, which is significantly cheaper than most other breast pumps on the market.
Yeah, I'll have so many moms who are like, I already got my pump, but I hate it. It's not this pump. I can't do the multiple letdowns. I can't use your 3-stage. And then they just go buy one and they're like, best money I spent. Or you might need a second one. You get one for free through your insurance. And then you're like, I'd like, for that price, I'd rather keep one at home and one at work. And what's so great about making it affordable like that. I mean, this is the philosophy, is that, you know, all moms deserve to have really good quality products that work, especially when it comes to breastfeeding their babies. And so it shouldn't be $400, and it's not. And that doesn't mean that it's not good. And that's the whole point, is that they've included all these different things, including the education and all the flanges and everything else, for a price that's really affordable.
And I will say, I bring this up every now and then in full disclosure of how I've known you for 10 years, but in full disclosure of how my relationship with Evenflo started when my sister, and I guess it would have been Veda or Grayson. I guess Grayson. I don't know.
Yeah, it was Grayson.
So many children. So when she was nursing Grayson and pumping, she had all of these pumps, tried every pump out. We were very familiar with them. And she had an Evenflo, and she texted me and she's like, this is the most comfortable breast pump I've ever used, and I got more milk out. We have to figure out a way to work with them. Yeah. And in my brain, I was so wired into like expensive breast pumps. And I was like, are you serious? Because I was like, I'm sure it's fine. But I fully went off of my sister's endorsement with this. Yeah. And connected through to Elise and everybody. Yeah. And then when I found out you were involved, I was like, of course, duh, because I've known you for so long. Like, I had you on speed dial, so did my sister. Yes. So whenever she was nursing the twins or whoever, like, luckily we had access to you. Yeah. So I looked at this as like, your partnership with the Evenflo is great. And then that I can kind of, it will all kind of loops back full circle.
It does.
And it's right.
Well, you know, and that's where you can find those great products that, you know, work, because you can, you know, you trust us, you know, you've watched us, followed us for a long time. You know, we're not going to steer you wrong. Jamie and I wouldn't work. I mean, you guys know Jamie. Some of you know me. Anyone who knows me or Jamie knows that we don't work with any brands that we don't fully endorse and recommend the product. You know, that's not what this is about.
And corporate culture.
Everything. It's a combination. The people and the product. It's the people and the product. And with this one, you've got both. Yeah. And so, and for a long time, like I said, I've been with them for 7 years.
Yeah. And if you ever go to any like live event, like New York Baby Show Series, the New York, Chicago, LA, or like when they do, you know, they do a few mommy cons or whatever, or any kind of in-person event, if you ever go to the Evenflo booth, just go say hi. Yeah. Everybody's super nice. You might get a little pin that says "Let Love Flow." You might get something. I might be there hanging out because that's what I tend to do. You might be there. Like, go say hi to the Evenflo gals.
That's right.
You're good.
Awesome. Awesome. Wow, Jamie.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it. It was fun. It was fun being with you and all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all for hanging out. And I'm going to probably make lunch now.
Me too. Me too. Let's go eat.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.